book lovers, welcome to April in my reading journal. I was a busy bee this month and I have a ton of spreads to show you. I read 16 books this month and a whopping 8 were new to me books. This is what my April bookshelf looks like in my bullet planner. I had a Beauty and the Beast theme in my planner this month, so I tried to include some stickers representing the enchanted knickknacks in Beast's castle. But I do have a bunch of book spreads to show you, so let's dive in. Here is my April cover page. I love this image, so I constructed the layout around it and its color scheme. And I love this quote, "A well-read woman is a dangerous creature, indeed." Now for my first book spread. I continued my reread of the Game Changer series by Reid and listened to Tough Guy, book 3 in the series. It is about Ryan Price, who we encountered briefly in book 2 when Ilya tries to comfort him on a plane because he is afraid of flying. This one is significantly less steamy than the previous two, and it explores the darker side of hockey with injuries, broken bodies, mental health issues. Ryan is an enforcer newly traded to Toronto, and he is settling into his new apartment in the neighborhood of Toronto when he runs into a blast from the past, the one that got away, the missed chance, Fabian Salah. I love Fabian, who is Lebanese-Canadian, an indie musician, a hockey hater, and quite unapologetically femme and fabulous. If you have followed my previous videos, you know I'm a sucker for this kind of character. They are truly opposites attract, but they are so good for each other, and Ryan falls head over heels in love with Fabian, and so did I. One of my favorite books in the series. Next, I re-listened to book 6, The Long Game, which is the continuation of Shane and Ilya's story that was left on a tentative happily ever after in book 2. I talk more about that book in my January video. Now we finally get to know what happens to them, and of course we suspect going in that this is the one where they will be outed to the world and face the consequences of keeping this affair between them quiet for, I think it's 10 years now. We get more of the banter, but also get to see a more sensitive side of especially Ilya, who finally has to face his own mental health issues. And we finally get their true happy ending, which also wraps up this series with a bang. I don't think it's quite on par with book 2, but it's still a great emotional read. didn't feel quite done with Rachel Reid and hockey, so I dove directly into her Time to Shine, which is unrelated to her Game Changer series. It's about Landon, the goalie, who gets a chance to play in the NHL when the Calgary backup goalie is injured and Landon is brought up from a lower league team to fill in. It was very cute, I enjoyed it, and it's one of the new to me books this month. Then I had some Audible credits to spend, so I splurged on the rest of the Hometown Jasper novels by Nicky James. They are a lovely quartet of low-angst novels about a bunch of guys in the small Canadian town of Jasper. Book 2, Confused Hearts, explores Knox's story, Easton's best friend from book 1, as he figures out some stuff about himself and falls in love with Lucky, the bartender. Also, it has a lovely little side story where the adopted Lucky is searching for his birth mother. Book 3, Forgetful Hearts, is about the asshole journalist Josiah we learned to dislike in book 1, but who was kind of nice to Lucky in book 2. He has already entered a relationship with extreme sporter Shay, but then Shay has a rock climbing accident and contracts a nasty case of amnesia. Amnesia, gotta love that trope. As far as Shay knows, Josiah is basically his evil nemesis, so Josiah must make Shay fall for him once again. And it has a bit of a mystery side plot about Shay's accident and what really happened, because Shay refuses to believe he would be careless enough to fall when climbing. Final book in the Jasper series is Concealed Hearts, about two closet cases who, for some reason, believe the world will fall apart if they are outed, despite the surge of gay relationships in Jasper lately. We have Tony, Shay's older brother from book 3, and Winston, the sweet hot sheriff. I was on the move when I listened to this, so I couldn't take notes, so I ended up with some leftover space. If you have any favorite quotes from this book that you think would fit this space, feel free to let me know in the comments below and I will add it. It also has a bit of a troubled high schooler side story, which is nicely resolved in a low angst way that fits this series. But it made me want to read a story featuring maybe a high school shooting by angst queen Nicky James, kind of what Eli Easton did in Boy Shattered. So Nicky, if you are watching, there's a plot bunny for you. Next, we head into my KJ Charles binge. The Doomsday Books is a duology about the Doomsday family smugglers on Romney Marsh in Kent, early 18th century. In The Secret Lives of Country Gentlemen, Gareth Inglis has a brief but hot fling with a mysterious stranger in London before his estranged father dies and he is suddenly a baron and lord of a manor in Romney Marsh. Once in place, he ends up in court as a witness testifying against a female smuggler. And lo and behold, her brother is the very stranger from Garrett's brief fling, who has no qualms about blackmailing Gareth with their affair to get his sister off. It's a fun and witty lovers to enemies novel in the typical KJ Charles style, and I enjoyed it a lot. I couldn't help thinking as I listened that I would have maybe enjoyed it even more if Cornell Collins' voice narrated it, even if the actual narrator did a perfectly fine job. I'm just a sucker for Cornell Collins. In Book 2, A Nobleman's Guide to Seducing a Scoundrel, another unlikely lord comes to inherit another manor and title on Rumney Marsh. Rufus Domesday is suddenly Earl of Oxney after his quite horrible grandfather passes. And after a long battle in the Committee of Privileges, Rufus is deemed to be the heir, even if his father was disowned by his grandfather. His father is dead. This doesn't go down well with his uncle, who expected to inherit the estate and title, and he contests Rufus's claim every step of the way. In one final desperate move, the uncle brings in a young man who is the son of a woman Rufus's father was maybe briefly married to 10 years before he married Rufus's mother. And if it turns out they were, then his marriage to Rufus's mother is invalid. Yeah, it's complicated. Anyway, enter little Luke Doomsday from Book 1, who is now all grown up and has the ability to contest Rufus's claim, because early 18th century law is complicated. So what does Rufus do? He hires Luke as his secretary, and they set out to uncover the truth, just to mess with Rufus's uncle. I enjoyed this installment maybe even more than the first one. Again, it's fun and witty, and in the typical style of KJ Charles, it has great side characters, especially female ones, who get to be strong and likable and take control of their own lives, like Rufus's cousin Berengaria, who I loved. Then finally, the new KJ Charles novel, Death in the Spires, came out in mid-April. Charles has informed us in every way possible that this is not a romance, but an historical detective mystery. It has a bit of romance, but it's unusually non-explicit for this author. But it didn't matter because the story got to take center stage, and it's excellent. It's 1905, and our main character, Jem, receives a letter accusing him of the murder of his fellow Oxford student and best friend, Toby, 10 years ago. Or rather, his employer gets the letter, which leads to Jem being fired. Now that Jem has a lot of time on his hands, he decides to find out what really happened to Toby. He tracks down the other 5 people from their gang of friends at Oxford who were called the 7 Wonders after a play they all participated in. No one knows who killed Toby, but they all agree on one thing. It has to be one of them because of some circumstances surrounding the murder. They all reunite at Oxford, and the events that transpired 10 years ago slowly begin unraveling. I enjoyed this a lot, especially getting to know Jem's old gang. And it's all set against the beautiful backdrop of Oxford with a dark academia vibe. Lastly, another mystery suspense novel, Facade by Johanna and Johan Hurtig Wagrell. Only once in a blue moon do I read a book that's not an romance, and it's even rarer that I read in Swedish. But Johanna is the host of my favorite true crime podcast, so when she and her husband came out with their first novel, I had to listen to it. Even though there were no cute guys kissing anyone, especially not each other. It's not out in English yet, so I'm sorry if most of you are going to have to wait to read it, if at all. The main character, Sanna, is a reality TV producer. She gets the blame when one of the participants on her reality show, one of those Big Brother inspired ones, commits suicide on live TV. To save her career, she has to go to Kalmar to do a real-life documentary about the unsolved murder of a 15-year-old girl 25 years earlier, one who went to the same school as Sanna. A female police inspector, Elisabeth, is also thrown into the cold case, even though she knows nothing about it and didn't work the case when it was active. This book was a delightful surprise. I was absolutely spellbound by it. It is so rare to encounter a mystery novel where you constantly find yourself realizing that you have no idea how this is going to end. It has one of my absolute favorite tropes done really well. I can't tell you outright what trope it is, since it's kind of spoilery, but let's say it is featured on the northeastern continent on my map of tropes. Fasad is also my top read this month. Very well done by Johanna and her man. So that's it for April. Now I am going to set up my May cover page. I'm using some of the paper I aged with coffee in a previous video. I'll link it in the video description. And this is one of my printouts of one of Oscar Wilde's dearest of all boys letters to Bosie, Lord Alfred Douglas, that I frequently use in my journal. It's almost a bit intrusive being able to find and read these intimate love letters online, but I suppose they don't mind anymore and they are quite lovely. I found this gorgeous image on Pinterest that made me think of early spring and longing to greet nature again. And I recently got a few sets of vintage botanical stickers that I thought would go well with this theme. So I'm sort of constructing a story around it. The girl here is ready and eager to go on her first excursion. She has her botany journal and her compass and her boots. It gives me a very early 20th century British feel. I'm a sucker for that aesthetic. So that's my May cover page. I absolutely love the way it turned out. It may be my favorite cover page ever. I love the green and the brown colors and the feeling of being ready to enter spring again. Thanks for watching, everyone, and happy reading!